Welcome back, focused learners, to another explainer. So, have you ever looked at a massive, hyper-complex organization and just kind of wondered, how does this whole thing function without completely collapsing under its own weight? I mean, think about a sprawling, rapidly growing city. If you just let people build whatever they want, wherever they want, with zero zoning laws or utility maps, well, you're going to get total chaos, right? A city desperately needs a master plan to actually thrive. And you know what? Businesses are the exact same way. So today, we're demystifying that master plan for organizations, a really fascinating concept known as enterprise architecture. But before we dive into the solution, we really need to look at the underlying problem. Why do so many highly anticipated tech upgrades just completely fail the business? I'm sure we've all experienced this headache in some form. The marketing team goes rogue and buys this incredible new software tool. Meanwhile, the finance team is stuck using a totally different ancient legacy database. Suddenly, you've got what we call shadow IT. You end up with disconnected systems, wasted budget, and the absolute nightmare of having a grand business strategy that your actual physical technology literally cannot execute. To fix that, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the enterprise architecture blueprint itself. Then we'll look at frameworks, specifically TOGAF and Zachman. After that, we'll break down the 4 core components, and finally, wrap up with strategy and system integration. Let's get into it. Section 1, the enterprise architecture blueprint. It's time to shift our perspective from the micro to the macro. Now, a lot of folks tend to confuse these two terms. System architecture is kind of like focusing on the blueprints for a single individual building. It is absolutely crucial, but it's isolated to just one system or a small cluster of them. Enterprise architecture, on the other hand, is the bird's eye view. It encompasses the entire organization. It's the overarching city planning that connects the roads, the power grid, and every single building together so the whole ecosystem functions in harmony. So, formally defined enterprise architecture, or EA, is a comprehensive practice. It analyzes, designs, plans, and implements the successful execution of enterprise strategy. And really, the absolute key phrase there is execution of enterprise strategy. EA is the holistic master blueprint bridging the gap between what the business leaders dream up and how the IT department is actually going to build and implement it. What's genuinely fascinating here is the sheer scope of what EA accomplishes when it's done right. It's not just some boring IT checklist. Actually, scratch that. It's the exact opposite. It's about curing systemic inefficiencies. By aligning IT with your business strategy, you instantly start eliminating that shadow IT we talked about. You dramatically enhance business agility, meaning when the market suddenly shifts, your company can pivot fast without being dragged down by rigid, outdated tech. It optimizes your investments, standardizes your systems across the board, and massively reduces risk by highlighting single points of failure way before they break. It is, quite literally, the foundation for innovation. Moving right along to Section 2, frameworks, TOGAF, and Zachman. Let's look at the specific tools our city planners use. There are quite a few frameworks out there, but 2 of the absolute heavyweights you need to know are TOGAF and the Zachman framework. And they actually serve very different purposes. TOGAF, which stands for the Open Group Architecture Framework, is all about the process. It uses something called the architecture development method. Basically, it's a step-by-step, cyclical process that tells you exactly how to build and manage your architecture over time. Zachman, however, is a taxonomy. It's a classification scheme. It doesn't tell you how to build a single thing. Instead, it provides a rigorous, comprehensive checklist of what you need to build and from whose perspective you should be looking at it. And to really grasp the massive scale of the Zachman taxonomy, you just need to understand one number: 36. Why 36? Well, the Zachman framework is laid out as a 6x6 matrix. It maps out 6 different stakeholder perspectives, starting from the high-level planner and owner all the way down into the weeds with the builder and the functioning enterprise itself. Then it crosses those perspectives with 6 fundamental questions: what, how, where, who, when, and why. Boom, 36 distinct cells. By forcing architects to meticulously fill out this matrix, it ensures absolutely every single aspect, angle, and viewpoint of an enterprise is considered during development. Literally nothing falls through the cracks. All right, Section 3, the 4 core components. Let's zoom in on the rhythmic layers and micromechanics of this whole thing. Layer 1 is your business architecture. This is the bedrock. It defines the strategic direction, the organizational structure, and the key business processes. Put simply, it describes what the business actually does, how it operates, and why. You absolutely cannot design software or go buy servers until you deeply, truly understand this foundational why, because this layer dictates every single integration requirement downstream. Then we have layer 2, data architecture. Think of this as the plumbing of our house. It defines exactly what data is collected, how it's securely stored, and how it flows throughout the enterprise. It establishes your data models and your governance policies. And look, without a meticulously clear data architecture, any system integration you attempt will quickly devolve into a garbage in, garbage out reality. You need clean pipes for clean water, right? Layer 3 is application architecture. So if data is the plumbing, applications are the functional rooms in the house, the kitchen, the living room, the office. This is the blueprint for the individual software applications your company uses, how they interact via APIs, and how they physically implement the business capabilities we defined back in Layer 1. It really helps rationalize your portfolio so you aren't accidentally paying for 5 different apps that all do the exact same thing. And finally, Layer 4, technology architecture, which is sometimes called infrastructure architecture. This is the literal foundation, the concrete slab. It encompasses the servers, the networking gear, the operating systems, the cloud infrastructure. It is the physical and logical platform upon which all those applications, data, and business processes actually run. To truly understand how these 4 layers connect, let's look at the domino effect of interdependency. Okay, let's say leadership decides on step 1. We're rolling out a brand new business process for our checkout. Well, that instantly triggers step 2. You're going to need a new data flow to capture that new customer info securely, which then mandates step 3. Your current application needs an update or a totally new API to process that data. And finally, step 4, all of that new software requires new technology infrastructure, like spinning up more cloud servers to actually deploy. Changing just one room in the house demands an update to the plumbing, the functional layout, and the foundation. Which brings us to our final section, Section 4, Strategy and System Integration. Let's look at building that fully connected house. A really common misconception is that enterprise architecture is just an IT thing. It is absolutely not. How does this actually impact the bottom line? Because EA is a strategic business tool. It translates high-level strategy into actual physical action. It provides clear road mapping from where the company is sitting today to exactly where it wants to be tomorrow. It focuses heavily on capability-based planning, identifying what the business needs to achieve its goals, and ensuring the tech actually supports it. This informs massive investment decisions and proactively identifies huge risks long before executives ever sign the checks. So the absolutely crucial point is captured beautifully in this quote from our sources. EA acts as the guiding force behind system integration. It provides the overarching context and vision. Instead of ad hoc, point-to-point integrations, where someone just aggressively connects app A to app B with digital duct tape, EA ensures that every integration uses standard protocols, is reusable, and contributes to a larger, well-defined architectural plan. It literally stops the tangled web before it even has a chance to start. To summarize our explainer today, enterprise architecture isn't about sitting in some back room drawing pretty diagrams. It is entirely about strategic foresight, holistic planning, and extremely disciplined execution. It is the core practice of building an agile, cost-effective engine that powers everything the organization wants to achieve. Which leaves me with a final kind of provocative thought for you to take away today. I want you to think about your own organization right now. Look at the software you use every day, the processes you follow, the data you constantly rely on. Is your IT landscape a powerful, cohesive engine driving you forward? Or is it just a tangled web holding you back? I hope this explainer gave you the master blueprint to start finding out. Keep learning, stay focused, and we'll catch you on the next one.